Let me tell you about the most disrespectful thing the US tax code does to everyday investors. Not the complicated stuff, not the loopholes that only matter if you own a yacht or a second LLC in Delaware. I'm talking about something that affects anyone who owns dividend stocks, which, if you're building wealth and you're paying attention, is probably you. It's called double taxation, and once you see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Here's the setup. A company makes money. Before they can do anything with that money, before they pay their employees bonuses, before they reinvest in the business, before they send you a single dollar, the federal government takes 21% off the top. That's the corporate income tax. It's just gone. Automatically. No negotiation. Now let's say the company does well. They've got profits left over. They decide to reward their shareholders by paying out dividends. Cool. You like dividends. Dividends feel like the market finally paying you back for being patient. Except here's what nobody tells you in the highlight reel. That money already got taxed, and now it's about to get taxed again. This time in your hands, at your personal income tax rate. Same dollar, 2 tax bills, different names on the envelope, but the same money leaving your account. That's double taxation. And it's not a glitch in the system, it's a feature. Now, before you throw your phone across the room, hear me out. Because understanding this is actually what separates investors who build real wealth from investors who just have impressive-looking brokerage screenshots. Let's get into it. The federal piece, and why the label on your dividend matters more than you think. Not all dividends are created equal. The IRS splits them into 2 categories. The difference between those 2 categories can truly change how much money you keep by thousands of dollars a year. Category 1, qualified dividends. These get taxed at long-term capital gains rates. If your income is below a certain threshold, you pay 0%. Zero. The IRS literally charges you nothing on that income. If you're in the middle, you're looking at 15%. Higher earners hit 20%. Category 2, ordinary dividends. These get taxed like your paycheck. Whatever your regular income tax bracket is, that's what you owe, which can be 22, 24, 32, 35, or even 37% depending on how much you make. Same word, dividend. Completely different tax outcomes based on one classification. That's the tax code being its most chaotic self. And here's where it gets really important for how you invest. A lot of popular income-generating investments, things like REITs, certain bond funds, some high-yield ETFs, throw off ordinary dividends, not qualified ones. So when you're chasing a 9 or 10% yield on one of those products and feeling great about yourself, the IRS is quietly doing math in the background that is significantly less exciting than your yield. The point isn't that high-yield investments are bad. The point is that yield is not the same as return. Pre-tax income is not the same as after-tax income. And if you skip that distinction, you're building a strategy on a number that isn't real. Now here's the part literally nobody talks about, your state. The federal tax conversation gets all the attention. Everyone's focused on the IRS, the 1040, qualified versus ordinary, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, your state government is standing in the back of the room quietly filling out its own invoice. Most states tax dividend income. And here's the part that actually stings. Most states do not care whether your dividend is qualified or ordinary. That distinction that the federal government makes, the one that can cut your tax rate in half, your state usually ignores entirely. Dividends come in, your state taxes them as regular income. Full stop. So let's do some real math here, because this is where it gets eye-opening. Say you're in California, you receive a qualified dividend. Federally, you owe 15%. Okay, manageable. But California's top marginal rate on income is 13.3%. And California taxes dividends as ordinary income regardless of how they're classified federally. So all of a sudden, your 15% tax dividend is actually closer to 28% when you stack the layers. New York, up to 10.9% state rate on top of federal. Minnesota, over 9%. New Jersey, Oregon, all up there. And here's the part that makes the zip code conversation genuinely wild. 2 investors can hold the exact same ETF in the exact same brokerage, receiving the exact same dividend payment, and walk away with completely different amounts of money after taxes, based entirely on which state they live in. Texas? No state income tax. Florida? No state income tax. California? You're giving up almost a third of that dividend between state and federal. Same investment, different addresses, dramatically different outcomes. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is just geography meeting tax policy. And most investors between 18 and 35 who are building their portfolios have never once thought about it, because nobody puts it in these terms. why your account type is basically a cheat code. Here's the good news, because there is good news. You are not powerless here. The tax code, the same one that just explained to you why dividends get taxed twice and your state wants a cut too, also built in some legitimate escape hatches. They're called tax-advantaged accounts. And if you're not using them strategically, you are leaving real money on the table. Let's start with the Roth IRA. You put in money that's already been taxed. It grows. You pull it out in retirement, and if you follow the rules, you owe zero. Not 15%, not 10%. Zero. That means dividends compound inside a Roth without the IRS showing up every single year to skim off the top. Think about what that means over time. Every year in a taxable account, your dividends get taxed and you reinvest what's left. In a Roth, the full amount compounds. That gap, that seemingly small annual difference, turns into an enormous number over a decade or two. And here's the piece that connects back to the state tax conversation. Most states follow the federal treatment of Roth accounts. So a Roth isn't just protecting you from federal tax drag, it's protecting you from state tax drag too. For someone in California or New York, that's potentially a combined tax savings of close to 25 to 28% on every dollar of dividend income that stays inside the account. That's not a rounding error, that's a vacation home in the math. Traditional IRAs and 401ks work differently. You get the tax break upfront and you pay when you withdraw. But the core benefit is the same. Your dividends don't get taxed every year while they're growing. The compounding runs clean. Asset location is the strategy that puts all of this together. Asset allocation is what you own. Asset location is where you put it. Those are two completely different decisions, and most people only make one of them intentionally. If you own something that throws off heavy taxable income, REITs, high-yield bond funds, actively managed funds with big dividend payouts, that thing wants to live in a tax-advantaged account. If you own something more tax-efficient, a broad index fund, a growth ETF that rarely pays dividends, that can live in a taxable account without the IRS taking a yearly haircut out of your returns. Getting this right doesn't require a financial advisor or a complicated spreadsheet. It requires about 15 minutes, a clear picture of what you own, and knowing which bucket it belongs in. The 1099 DIV, the document that tells you everything. Every year, if you hold dividend-paying investments in a taxable account, you get a 1099 div. Most people look at it for 3 seconds, hand it to their tax software, and move on. That's a mistake. Your 1099 DIV tells you exactly how your dividends were classified, qualified versus ordinary, and that classification is what determines how much of your money stays yours. If you've never actually read through it, this is the year you start. It's not glamorous. It's not going to make a great story, but it is the document that proves whether your dividend income is as efficient as you think it is. And once you know what to look for, you start connecting dots. You start noticing that the high-yield fund you picked for the juicy payout is actually generating mostly ordinary dividends. You start noticing that your state's cut makes certain investments look a lot less attractive than they did on paper. You start making decisions based on what you actually keep, not what the fund's marketing page says you're earning. The practical playbook. What to actually do. All right, let's make this actionable, because information without application is just trivia. 1. Prioritize tax-advantaged accounts. Roth IRA first if you're eligible, then 401k up to the match, then traditional IRA. These accounts are the single most powerful tool available to regular investors, and most people are not maxing them out. 2. Be deliberate about asset location. Tax-inefficient investments go in tax-advantaged accounts. Tax-efficient investments can live in taxable. This one decision, made correctly across your entire portfolio, can meaningfully increase your after-tax returns without changing what you actually own. 3. Check your dividend classifications. Know whether you're holding qualified or ordinary dividend payers. If you're not sure, the 1099 DIV tells you. If you don't have one yet, look at the fund's historical payout breakdown. It's usually one click away. 4. Look up your state's dividend tax rate. Seriously, just Google it. 3 minutes. If you're in a no-income tax state, you're already ahead. If you're in a high-tax state, that information should be actively shaping where you hold certain assets right now. 5. Stop evaluating investments on yield alone. Yield is a gross number. What matters is what you keep after taxes. A 10% yield taxed at 35% combined is less attractive than a 7% yield taxed at 15%. Run the after-tax math before you fall in love with the payout. 6. Revisit this every time your situation changes. Got a raise? New state? New account type available through your employer? Your tax picture shifts, and so should your strategy. The bigger picture. Here's what all of this adds up to. The tax code is not neutral. It is not sitting there passively waiting to process your return. It is a system with built-in incentives and traps. And the people who build real wealth over time are the ones who understand both. Double taxation is real. Qualified versus ordinary matters enormously. Your state is taking a cut that most people never factor into their planning. And the account you choose to hold your investments in is not a minor administrative detail. It is a core part of your strategy. None of this requires you to become a tax expert. It requires you to ask one question every time you make an investment decision. After taxes, what do I actually keep? Because that number, not the yield, not the pre-tax return, not the marketing copy on the fund page, is the only number that actually shows up in your life. And now that you know where the traps are, you're already ahead of most people who are investing alongside you. That's the move. See you in the next one.